Richard Fuller.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And before starting my comments on this debate, I am aware, and I think a number of other honourable members and right honourable members in this House are aware, that since you presided over the opening of this debate last Wednesday, you have been subject online to a series of abuse that calls on presumptions of your ethnicity, presumptions on your place of birth. I would just like to say, I think on behalf of all of us here, you have presided over this debate fairly, competently, and in the best traditions of this House. Whereas, what a colossally inept and incompetent budget process this has been. The public believe they have been misled, seasoned journalists have been shamefaced, and the head of the OBR has resigned. A budget not guided by principle or a roadmap for the future, but on a sleight of hand on the British people. A budget that means even lower growth in real disposable incomes for households up and down the country, that increases taxes and increases borrowing rather than controlling them, and has a total of zero measures which will have any impact on economic growth. Yet after all the chaos of this budget, after all the briefings, after all the kite flying, the leaks and the resignations, the core theme of this budget remains what it has always been: a budget for Benefit Street, paid for by raising taxes on working people. A budget delivered by a Chancellor who is out of her depth, enabled by a Prime Minister who is out of touch, held captive by Labour backbenchers. The Chancellor and the Prime Minister decided to put party before country. But despite all the pandering, their careers are still held captive. This budget is the most expensive botched hostage rescue operation in British history. This budget process has raised important issues of accountability. Labour's general election manifesto said, quote, "Labour will not increase taxes on working people," unquote. But this budget extends the freeze in tax thresholds for a further 3 years. Last year, the Chancellor said, quote, "We now wipe the slate clean. We don't need to come back for more." But this budget increases taxes by a further £37 billion and borrowing by a further £57 billion over the next 5 years. And the Chancellor held an unprecedented breakfast address to the nation. Cheerios. But the BBC's Chris Mason says, quote, "The words on the day left an impression not at one with the facts we were later to discover and which the Chancellor knew at the time," unquote. Madam Deputy Speaker, yesterday the chairman of the OBR resigned. Many in the country believe the Chancellor should reflect and make the same decision. This could have been a budget for Alarm Clock Britain, for the people that work hard to create a better future for their families, for their children and grandchildren, the sort of people who believe in an honest day's pay for an honest day's work and who think it is unfair for the government to increase their taxes to pay for more money to be spent on benefits. The people who understand personal responsibility, especially when it comes to having children, and don't see why people on benefits should not have to make the same choices that they have to make. And I give way to the Lord Honourable Lady.
To the Shadow Minister for giving way. When he talks about people in work, is he referring to the families with 3 and 4 out of the 3 or 4 children who are living in poverty, who are working? How dare he castigate them when saying those awful things, when these are working families struggling because of the appalling circumstances that the previous government left us.
The Honourable Lady needs to recognise that people are struggling because of the decisions made by this government. The people do want better public services, but they don't understand why, after the government handed out a 15% pay hike to train drivers, more trains are running late this year compared to last year. The people are striving to make ends meet as prices rise, perhaps putting a little aside to create a better future for the children. The people who say this budget will make their lives worse, not better. By more than 2 to 1, the verdict's in, by more than 2 to 1, the public think this budget is unfair. And only 2% think this budget will make them better off, and they are right. This budget attacks the strivers in our society, the engines of our economic growth. This budget confirms the devastating attack on family farms when we need greater food security. It increases taxes on dividends when we need to encourage risk-taking, discourages savings for retirement, and widens the division between pension protections for public sector and private sector employees, deals a blow to start-up businesses that want to share their success with their employees, and raises taxes on working people, breaking the Labour Party's own manifesto promise. This budget makes clear that this Labour government does not believe in personal responsibility, does not understand the spirit of enterprise, will punish aspiration, and is too weak to make the hard choices our economy so desperately needs if it is to get back on the right track.
0.5%.
Madam Deputy Speaker, if we are to fund the defence of our nation against greater threats, if we are to enable young people to have the same security in their retirement as pensioners have today, if we want to maintain public services, we have to create wealth. This government offers no hope for wealth creation, but the Conservative Party does. A society that encourages people to succeed and to take risks that underpins success. A society that expands individual freedom and the scope for personal responsibility. A society that is prepared to make sacrifices to make the lives of our children and grandchildren a little better. We will build that wealth-creating society by bringing down energy costs, cutting spending, cutting taxes, backing business, and getting Britain working again.